This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
The Epstein Files. Good afternoon. Welcome aboard. Congress could vote today to force the U.S. Justice Department into releasing all the files related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. South Carolina's Nancy Mace.
This isn't about President Trump. This is about women who are seeking justice and finally getting it.
Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie does not think the president is implicated in these files, but some of his friends could be.
These files implicate billionaires and friends of his and political donors that he's trying to protect.
President Trump is urging his party to vote in favor of the release of the files, arguing the GOP has nothing to hide and it's time to move on.
It's really a Democrat problem. The Democrats were Epstein's friends, all of them. And it's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax.
Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide in jail while awaiting sex trafficking charges. Many want to know who knew what and when it comes to his crimes. His victims are said to number in the hundreds. President Trump meeting today at the White House with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. His name is Mohammed bin Salman. The Saudis oppose normalizing ties with Israel until plans are in place for a Palestinian state, something the Israelis say is not going to happen. The Trump administration is still planning a weapons deal with the Saudis that would send U.S. fighter jets to the Royal Kingdom. The UN Security Council has green-lighted the president's peace plan for post-war Gaza. Correspondent Holly Williams calls it a resounding success for the White House.
Of the 15 members of the United Nations Security Council, 13 voted for the U.S. resolution, and only Russia and China abstained. But crucially, Russia and China did not use their veto powers, which as permanent members of the Security Council, they could have, effectively blocking the resolution.
The rapper Nicki Minaj is speaking today at the UN about the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. The singer-songwriter has praised the White House for raising awareness about this issue. Mike Waltz is the U.S. ambassador to the UN.
Kudos and thanks to someone like Nicki Minaj as a Christian, but as someone with the following that she has. And we're going to have her talk to the UN, talk to our experts, and actually hear from some of these pastors and others that have been so horribly persecuted. And I really welcome her engagement and her spotlight.
Mareem Waba is with the Foundation for the Defense of Democracy.
Fulani herder militias are targeting Christian farmers, and this is really where the spotlight lands on.
She says this is not just a land dispute, this is a genocide.
We're seeing these Fulani herders militize to attack Christians for their faith.
50 to 100,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria since 2009. More than 500,000 illegal immigrants have been deported from this country thanks to stepped-up immigration crackdowns. Reporter Skylar Henry has the latest on the law enforcement campaign.
The Department of Homeland Security arrested more than 130 people in Charlotte over the weekend. Part of an immigration crackdown the agency is calling Charlotte's Web. DHS says it's targeting immigrants living in Charlotte illegally and involved in crimes from gang membership to shoplifting.
Closer to home, dozens of migrant men were arrested along the New York State Thruway this month. The vast majority of them had valid commercial driver's licenses and were operating big rigs. The ICE raids focused on truck stops along the Thruway from Syracuse to Buffalo. 37 illegal immigrants were taken into custody. AAA is expecting record travel for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday. Nearly 82 million of us, U.S., will be getting out of Dodge for the Turkey Day getaway. This air passenger is thankful that the government shutdown ended when it did, or else there could be gridlock at the airport.
Thank goodness it happened before the holidays because we all deserve good getaways and a smooth transition from here to family and back again.
Melissa Marchesi with AAA in Central New York says it's sentimental reasons why Thanksgiving's become such a popular holiday for travel.
But the point is that you spent that time together, and I think we can't overlook that emotional component of travel, because that's what drives so many people, and we've seen this post-pandemic especially, this desire to have experiences versus material things.
The busiest time to be on the roads for Thanksgiving will be the Wednesday before and the Sunday after the holiday. It's coming up soon next week. Still to come on the Noon Report. For Tuesday, Hochul turns up the heat. Panic buttons in school. And we'll have the latest on that school bus tragedy in Jamestown.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams, tracking a disturbance that'll bring a little rain and snow to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania by tonight. I'll have forecast details in 10 minutes.
All right, Kevin, we'll look for you then. In the meantime, let's check the stories making news where you live all across New York and Pennsylvania. New York Governor Kathy Hochul's turning up the heat on the federal government when it comes to home heating assistance. She wants the Trump administration to provide millions more in federal aid for the Home Energy Assistance Program.
In 2025, we had over 1 million homes sign up for this. That's great. But we know that there's 1.5 million more that are eligible for this who did not sign up. So I need everybody to help get the word out.
Low-income New Yorkers can begin applying for help in heating their homes next week. Pennsylvania politicians are considering installing panic buttons in classrooms. In order to improve school safety, these panic buttons would trigger silent alarms that would notify police in emergency situations, like school shootings.
We passed Alyssa's Law in 10 states now, and Alyssa's Law is nonpartisan. This is all about making sure that when we send our kids to school, that they are safe and they come home alive.
Lori El-Hadef says the law is named after her daughter, Alyssa, who was killed in the Parkland, Florida school shooting. She visited the state capitol in Harrisburg yesterday.
It was Valentine's Day in 2018, about 7 years ago, and a gunman walked onto campus. Alyssa was only 14 years old, where she was murdered in an English classroom. She was so beautiful, all-American girl.
Pennsylvania Representative Johanny Cepeda-Freyitz is pushing to get the bill out of committee.
I think we can all agree, regardless of party, right, that our children's lives, our educator lives are valuable, and that school environment should be the most safest place we can send our children to. I want to do everything within my power to enact legislation that's going to give people peace of mind, that's going to protect their children, that's going to protect our school environment, and ultimately our community.
She says panic buttons have already saved lives in schools in the South. Last year, multiple teachers at a high school in Georgia pressed panic buttons during a school shooting there, and because of that, first responders were able to quickly arrive and save many lives. The investigation continues into the tragic death of a 4-year-old girl in Jamestown, New York, Monday morning. The child was struck by a school bus outside the Milton Fletcher Elementary School.
It's awful that it happened, and I'm so sorry that it happened, but something needs to change if we want it to never happen again.
Katie Sator is the parent of a child in Jamestown and says there needs to be more crossing guards on duty at that school.
Every morning you see little kids walking up here by themselves, sometimes with parents, but I've seen parents that have like 5-6 kids with them trying to corral them all together just to get them into the school, and it's crazy in the morning.
The school bus struck the child near the intersection of Cole and Whitehill Avenues while dropping off a student from another district.
It's not known to be a dangerous spot. I mean, anytime that we have a school, our elementary schools, our middle schools and high school, it's always something that we put a lot of attention on. And there's a lot of kids that go back and forth across the street using the crosswalk and getting to and from school. So as far as having a lot of accidents there, we have not.
Scott Forster with the Jamestown Police Department. The school district put out a statement saying they are heartbroken over this unimaginable loss. An illegal immigrant from Uzbekistan with ties to terrorism has just been arrested driving an 18-wheeler in Kansas. He got his commercial driver's license in Pennsylvania. Despite his terror ties, the 31-year-old was released into this country during the Biden administration. He got his commercial driver's license just a few months ago from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy.
I think you have CDL mills, these private businesses that are allowing people to get commercial driver's licenses without having the requisite skill set to actually get on. I mean, they can drive school buses, they can drive oil tankers on our roadways. They don't know what they're doing, but they're being pushed forward by these CDL mills.
As mentioned earlier, ICE agents last week arrested dozens of illegal immigrants along the New York State Thruway. 37 men were taken into custody at Thruway rest stops from Syracuse to Buffalo. They were operating big rigs. The owner of a Pennsylvania towing company has just been ordered to pay big fines for big crimes. Here's Family Life's Brian Query.
According to the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office, Vincent Fanick, the owner of Vince's Towing in Pittsburgh, pleaded guilty to felony charges regarding tow costs inflated by an accident services fee and other deceptive practices. Fanick will pay $379,000 to avoid incarceration. He is also prohibited from working in the tow industry. An investigation found that Fanick's practices involved astronomical bills for short tow trips. Fanick will participate in a public service announcement for the Insurance Fraud Prevention Authority, as well as serve 5 years probation with the first 6 months on house arrest, provided he pays restitution within 30 days. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. A new study from the University of Rochester in Western New York shows there could be a connection between a mother's stress level during pregnancy and when her baby's teeth come through. Infants with mothers who have high levels of stress tend to develop their teeth earlier. The study suggests stress can speed up aging in babies. Researchers say the premature showing of teeth could be an early warning sign of an infant's compromised oral health. Sports is next. It's a Tuesday edition of the 2-Minute Drill right here on the Family Life Noon Report.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, it was a Cowboys cruise night as the boys took out the Raiders 33-16 in the Monday Night Football matchup. Dak Prescott completed 25 of 33 passes, good for 268 yards and 4 touchdowns. That kind of told the whole story of the game. On the ice, rookie Noah Oshlin scored twice to help Buffalo to a 5-1 victory. Bowen Byram, Beck Melenstein, and Tage Thompson also lit the lamp to give the Sabres their second straight victory. Also skating to wins, the Canes, Panthers, Caps, Blue Jackets, and Ducks. To the NBA, the Heat survived a thriller against the Knicks in Miami, 115-113. Deuce McBride led the New Yorkers. He had 25 points. Mikal Bridges had 23, and Karl Anthony Towns, 22 points and 16 boards, but wasn't enough. The New Yorkers had a chance at the end of the game to tie it 2 different times. Couldn't get the ball to drop through the hoop. 76ers rallied to beat the Clippers 110-108. Tyrese Maxey threw down 39 points. Quentin Grimes added 19, while Andre Drummond scored 14 and grabbed 18 boards. Other winners in the NBA, the Cavs over the Bucks 118-106. Detroit 127, Indiana 112. The Hornets fell to the Raptors by a bucket 110-108. The T was all over the Mavericks 120-96. It was Oklahoma City 126, New Orleans 109, and the Bulls beat the Nuggets 130-127. In college football, former Penn State coach James Franklin has been hired by Virginia Tech to be their new head football coach. That is a look at sports.
All right, Randy, thank you. And still to come on the Noon Report, rapper turned Christian activist, Operation Charlotte's Web, and Congress votes on the Epstein files.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. A few weeks ago, Trinity Christian College announced it would be closing its doors after the spring 2026 semester. The Chicagoland school had served the Dutch Reform community and others for about 70 years, had a strong nursing program, and gave a priority to the Christian worldview. Back in 2023, Trinity International University, the other Trinity in Chicago, announced that its undergraduate program would be moved online with no residential option offered. Its grad school, Trinity Evangelical Divinity School, announced it would fold into another seminary in Vancouver. Also in July, the King's College in New York, which had been struggling for quite a while, announced it would permanently close. And many observers predict we should expect more announcements like these in the weeks and months to come. Institutions of higher education face a perfect storm of factors. Enrollments have not kept up with expectations, leaving high debt and empty buildings. During COVID, students, staff, and administrators got used to Zoom classes, especially how moving online avoids the trouble of feeding, housing, and entertaining students. And of course, there are too many educators now more interested in creating activists than educating students. What's long been an endemic reality at secular schools is also the case at many once faithful Christian institutions that have fallen captive to the critical theory mood that pervades the rest of academic culture. So why should Christian parents spend thousands on an education that has so-called progressed beyond biblical authority and historic Christian morality when the education offered is basically indistinguishable from cheaper secular options? Many parents have simply learned the hard way about mission drift at Christian colleges. If Christian schools do not offer anything unique, then there's really no point in having Christian schools in the first place. This is a crisis that's also an opportunity. And the church has always been an innovative and redemptive force in education for the glory of God and the life of the world. The entire Western educational system is in fact rooted in practices and customs that flow from the ideals and beliefs of Christianity. And these same ideals can now animate new opportunities for educational excellence. After all, the contemporary educational system is certainly struggling as well. We can neither abandon education nor can we compromise with this failed system. Instead, Christians should offer something better. What C.S. Lewis wrote about books and God in the Dock applies just as much to higher education. Quote, "What we want is not more little books about Christianity, but more little books by Christians on other subjects with their Christianity latent. You can see this most easily if you look at it the other way around. Our faith is not very likely to be shaken by any book on Hinduism. But if whenever we read an elementary book on geology, botany, politics, or astronomy, we found its implications were Hindu, that could shake us. And it's not the books written in direct defense of materialism that make modern man a materialist. It's the materialistic assumptions in all the other books. In the same way, it's not books on Christianity that would really trouble him, but he would be troubled if, whenever he wanted a cheap, popular introduction to some science, the best work on the market was always by a Christian. Our challenge and our opportunity is simply to do things well, to be better. Instead of fearing that these closures are the end of an era, believers should see this as a chance for another start, clearing out the things that have failed while building on what made Christian education great to begin with. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
All right, John, thank you for that. Let's head outside next. Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life forecast for this afternoon. Clouds, high temperatures, upper 30s to the mid-40s. There'll be some light rain and some light snow late today and tonight across a good portion of Pennsylvania. Some of the higher elevations along the I-80 corridor could pick up a coating to an inch or so. Low temperatures tonight, upper 20s to low 30s. Then for tomorrow and Thursday, ultimately a fair amount of sunshine, some clouds still in the mix, with high temperatures, lower 40s tomorrow, upper 40s on Thursday.
All right, Kevin, great work at the Weather Center. Thank you. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm your host, Bob Price, and here's what's happening. Tuesday, November 18th. Congress expected to vote this afternoon to release the files related to the Jeffrey Epstein case.
This is one of the most disgusting scandals in American history.
California Democrat Ro Khanna has been clamoring for the release of the Epstein files for several years.
The facts need to come out, and whoever is caught up with it needs to be held accountable, Democrat or Republican.
Epstein, a billionaire sex trafficker, killed himself 6 years ago in a New York City jail while awaiting trial. NBC's Haley Jackson.
Listen, what once seemed like a long shot is now very much on the verge of reality. That vote in the House set to happen later today, and it may be a landslide. One top Republican is telling NBC News he predicts almost everybody will back this bipartisan bill, with some survivors survivors, saying for them, this isn't political, but personal.
It's worth mentioning the Department of Justice can withhold any information that could jeopardize an ongoing investigation. So there's no telling what Epstein files will be made public and what ones will remain under wraps. President Trump welcoming the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, to the White House today. It's his first visit to D.C. since being linked to the murder of a Washington Post journalist. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
His visit is seen as a move to rehab his image after the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Tomorrow, there is a U.S.-Saudi investment summit where the two leaders, President Trump and the Crown Prince, will reveal more about planned investments in the energy, technology, and AI sectors announced during Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia earlier this year. Another topic of discussion is the purchase of F-35 military fighter jets, despite concerns from some in the administration about Saudi Arabia buying them and potentially sharing the technology with other countries.
The Saudis are refusing to normalize ties with Israel until the Israelis endorse a plan for Palestinian statehood, something the Prime Minister of Israel says will not happen. The UN Security Council yesterday did adopt President Trump's peace plan for post-war Gaza. That vote's being condemned by the terror group Hamas, which claims the International Stabilization Force will not be neutral. Rap star Nicki Minaj is speaking out today on the plight of Christians in Nigeria. She's at the United Nations this afternoon, the guest of our ambassador there, Mike Waltz. Upwards of 50 to 100,000 Christians have been slaughtered in that African nation by radicalized Muslims since 2009. Border Patrol agents are spending a fourth day in Charlotte, North Carolina, as they continue their crackdown on illegal immigration. Here's correspondent Ryan Chandler.
Border Patrol agents have been searching the city since Saturday. Homeland Security is calling it Operation Charlotte's Web.
The ICE raids have expanded to the capital city of Raleigh, about 2.5 hours north of Charlotte. Migrants, by the way, make up 18% of the overall population of Charlotte. The Pennsylvania Department of Transportation is under the gun today for issuing a commercial driver's license this past summer to an Uzbeki national with ties to terrorism. The 31-year-old crossed the southern border during the Biden administration. He was arrested last week driving an 18-wheeler in Kansas. Also last week, ICE agents rounded up nearly 40 illegal immigrants who were driving big rigs on the New York State Thruway. They were apprehended at Thruway rest stops from Syracuse to Buffalo. Japan is dealing with a rash of bear attacks. Mark Mayfield has our report.
Officials say since April, more than 100 people have been injured and at least 12 killed in bear attacks across the country. Bears have been spotted in shopping malls. It mainly involves brown bears and Asiatic black bears. They're rummaging for food before the hibernation season starts. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Home Depot is lowering its 2025 adjusted earnings forecast. Business analyst Jill Schlesinger tells us why.
The stagnant housing market has really limited the number of projects that people are taking on. And also, for those who want to do home improvements, they may be worried about the cost of those home improvements, so they're delaying them.
Since 2020, more than 80% of construction materials have gone up in price. Tomorrow, NASA will be sharing what it knows about a mysterious comet that entered our solar system. That story from reporter Rory O'Neill.
Discovered in July, 3I Atlas is only the third object ever identified as entering our solar system from elsewhere in the galaxy. Assets within NASA's science missions give the U.S. the unique capability to observe 3I Atlas almost the entire time it passes through our celestial neighborhood. Amateur astronomers say the comet changed color and direction after entering our solar system, but it's still no threat to Earth. I'm Rory O'Neill.
Thank you, Rory. You're listening to the Noon Report for Tuesday on Family Life.
Helping men, young and old, through the power of the gospel. Welcome back to another edition of Hometown Heroes on Family Life. I'm Mark Webster, and this week's guests are Ray Rossler and Pat Fahey of the Buffalo Adult and Teen Challenge Ministry, providing hope and healing to those struggling with life control issues. Ray Rossler is the program supervisor.
A lot of people know us as a drug and alcohol program, but we're not. Sobriety is a byproduct of getting right with the Lord, and that's what we do here. We take people in that have nothing, life-controlling issues, homelessness, drugs, alcohol, and we give them the gospel and give them an environment with love to be able to show them that there's a better way, and the way is with Jesus.
I came to the Lord as a teenager, went into the ministry, pastored a couple churches, and made a real bad decision in 1995 that cost me the ministry that I was a part of, and then later on cost me a many-decade marriage. It started with a song I heard that reminded me of an old friend that reminded me of a drink, and that turned into a 25-year crack cocaine addiction, which is something that I look back at and shake my head. I'd never want anyone to go through that. But coming into Teen Challenge in 2023 was the end to that cycle. But I'm here today to tell you that God's delivering power is strong as today as it's ever been. I'm a living testimony that you can teach an old dog a new way, and a new way is to return to the Lord. I tell people when I'm out with Teen Challenge that my children got their dad back. A clean, sober, God-fearing man, and it's a direct result of this program.
It's never like Hallmark. It's never pretty easy. Oh, you're good.
You're never a child going, I can't wait to get to Adult Teen Challenge when I grow up. You know what I mean? Like, that's not part of the original plan, but God put us through what we went through for a reason to bring us to this point. And my story was a little bit different. I didn't have a drug problem until I got hurt playing college baseball. I met pain pills, which turned into heroin, which I quit 11 years ago. I relapsed with alcohol and cocaine when my mom died from COVID-19. She literally died on Mother's Day of 2020, and it destroyed me. My whole life fell apart. I hid an addiction from an amazing woman that I was supposed to marry. Everything imploded on me. I was in the Catskills in a town called Phoenicia, literally blacking out every single day. Just didn't want to live anymore. Every time I woke up, I would curse God, like, why'd you wake me up again? And I didn't even have a relationship with him until then. And it started with hate, right? How could you hate somebody you never even knew? The woman, Christina, tracked me down in the Catskills and then told me I was going to get help. She was like, can you please try it? And I'm like, whatever. I'll go away for a week and then go back. Little did I know the journey I'd be taken on by coming here. It changed everything about the way I operate, the way I speak to people, the way I look at things. I see the positives. There's positives everywhere, even in the bad. You know what I mean? Like, God took my mother, but she's doing her best work up top right now. And I know that she's proud of what's going on here.
You mentioned your experience and how COVID really impacted you, and a lot of people have stories along those lines. The impact it had on mental health and alcoholism, and you name it.
People lost businesses, started drinking. Everybody was stuck at home. Boredom hit. People that maybe didn't realize how bad of an alcoholic they were did after COVID because all they did was sit home and drink. We had a Red Dot campaign. Pat was actually on the infomercial for that. We were showing the people all the fatal overdoses and all the non-fatals in Buffalo, and you couldn't see a speck of the map. It was all dots. People aren't surviving the overdoses because of fentanyl. So we're not getting a lot of opiate addicts when 10 years ago this place was full of opiate addicts. We're not getting that anymore because of the fentanyl, because it's so cheap, it's everywhere, and people aren't surviving overdoses. So people are dying instead of getting the help that they need.
What we're able to do is provide an environment that starts first thing in the morning, rebuilding discipline into our lifestyle, coming out of the lifestyle as a recovered addict. There has to be a discipline to your life. Undisciplined sleeping till noon and getting up and hoping things are going to change and catch a recovery meeting is a recipe for relapse. We start with a regimented 6 a.m. wake up and a 10 p.m. lights out, and throughout the day is interspersed prayer, Bible, devotion, first thing in the morning, keeping the house up. We have a beautiful home here in Buffalo that we can be very proud that we can keep it this way. We're given the environment so God can work on the inside of us. And then we can give of ourselves to food pantries and different ministries. It's a radical change for someone who's coming off the street or coming out of a rehab into here. Some of your rights are taken away. I have had the privilege of not having a cell phone ring every 2 minutes in my pocket. I surrendered that when I walked through the doors. I surrendered some of the daily normal freedoms. I can't just go turn a TV on when I want to. It's very regimented, but it's all pointed to a healthy direction. Restoring our mind, beginning to have the mind of Christ, and relearn things that either have been surrendered over or forfeited or taken over by the power of darkness. This is a place to, throughout the day, get instruction, correction, counseling, encouragement, love, a lot of great food. Talking about the Freshman 20, well, welcome Welcome to the Teen Challenge 50. It's a fraternity. It's an environment with brothers that are all coming from different lifestyles, interacting with each other. Here, I've got a son 5 years younger than Ray, and we immediately became best friends as if we grew up together. We came in the program at the same time. He's stood the test of time and kept faithful over these years and was there for me when I started to slip up. And two are better than one, as the word says. You know, we can lift up another brother when he falls or when he's getting close to falling, someone to pull him back into the fold. We're accountable to each other. If you know that your brother's watching you, eventually as you mature in Christ, you realize, God's always watching us.
That's Ray Rossler and Pat Fahey of the Buffalo Adult and Teen Challenge Ministry, providing hope and healing to those struggling with life control issues. Please join us again next time as we search for your home, your town, your hero. It's Hometown Heroes on Family Life.
All right, Mark, powerful testimonies there. You can catch all Mark's Hometown Heroes on Tuesdays during the Noon Report or online at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or our website, familylife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Keeping our eyes on an area of low pressure near St. Louis. It's eastbound and will bring a little rain and snow to Pennsylvania late today and tonight. Thereafter, the weather looks rather quiet and uneventful as we head through the remainder of the work week into the start of the weekend, though there will be some rain or rain showers later Friday and Friday night. Our call for this afternoon, clouds, limited sun in New York. It'll turn out mostly cloudy in Pennsylvania. High temperatures upper 30s to the mid 40s. There'll be some light rain and some light snow late today and tonight across a good portion of Pennsylvania. Some of the higher elevations along the I-80 corridor could pick up a coating to an inch or so. Low temperatures tonight, upper 20s to low 30s. Then for tomorrow and Thursday, ultimately a fair amount of sunshine, some clouds still in the mix, with high temperatures, lower 40s tomorrow, upper 40s on Thursday.
All right, great work. Thank you, Kevin. Finally at noon, some of you may have noticed President Trump lost his voice yesterday, sounding a little hoarse. Did the president during a Q&A with the press in the Oval Office? He explained why that was exactly.
I feel great. I was shouting at people because they were stupid about something having to do with trade in a country, and I straightened it out. But I blew my stack at these people.
Well, it sounds like there's a follow-up there, but can I ask you about Venezuela? You suggested...
There's a what?
It sounds like there's a follow-up there, but can I ask you about Venezuela?
I thought you said there was a polyp. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, follow-ups, not polyps, Mr. President. I'd love to see the Commander-in-Chief showing his lighter side in the Oval Office yesterday. And that's our world, the world we live in. Tuesday, November 18th. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.